Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 58 on February 11th, 2024. From your favorite Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $11.99 versus the regular price of $19.99 for a total savings of $800. This limited time super discount basically is 52 weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl, the more additional days you get for free.
Hey guys, welcome into Wager Talk TV. This is Puck Time. It's a shortened edition of Puck Time, just a few games today. We're back tomorrow as well, and then we are off until Monday. Of course, it is the All-Star Week, but a couple teams still have some games to finish up, and a couple things to gather before they call it quits and head to Punta Cana or Cabo or wherever they're heading. Usually, the players go somewhere warm if they're not in that All-Star game. But actually, this year, the All-Star game is in Florida, but I think, guys, there's plenty of money to be made. I've had people reaching out to me, asking me, hey, are you still betting on these games during the All-Star week, during when there's only one or two games? The answer is yes. If I see a spot, I am betting it. I look forward to hearing what Carmine's thoughts are. I look forward to hearing what Buster's thoughts are. I think it'll be a fun week here and a fun couple days here trying to break down these spots, trying to find some good bet-on opportunities here. And today we have 3 games: Kings, Hurricanes, Capitals, Blue Jackets, and the Senators taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Happy to be back here on Puck Time. Carm, how's it going, man?
Things are good. I used yesterday's day off to catch up on some work, some spreadsheets, and then pretty much watch some Netflix. I didn't bother watching that Winnipeg game. I just I've had it with Winnipeg, Andrew. This team has ruined my 6-60 the last 2 Saturdays in a row. 2 Saturdays in a row, I go 5-1 in the 6-60, and Winnipeg beats Ottawa. And then this past week, I go 5-1 on the 6-60, and Winnipeg loses at home to the Philadelphia Flyers. So, not really thrilled with this Winnipeg team, so I didn't bother watching that game. But these games are important, because last year, some of those playoff races came down to the final week, with teams getting in and out for those wild card spots. Every game is important, especially with some of these teams. Obviously, Carolina, LA, Washington, maybe not so much for Montreal and Ottawa, unless you're looking at that first pick in the draft next season or the better chance of it. But 3 games, and Montreal and Ottawa. Montreal's on the card, Buster, because there's only 3 games tonight. So let's welcome in Don Buster. What's going on? How's that weather? It's a cold snap here north of Toronto. I'm guessing there is no cold snap in Mexico.
Well, believe it or not, Carmine, there is. We had a bad norte last weekend. It lasts for a couple of days. It was actually probably the coolest it's been down here that I can remember, like the 5-6 years I've been down here steady. But you're right. It's gorgeous today. The water right now is dead flat. So we're losing a little bit of our beach, which is a little disappointing because Mother Nature's taking over a little bit. But all good. I did the exact same thing, Carmine. I took yesterday to go through a few things with my college basketball, as we're going to be really going hard in that. Well, we have been since the beginning of the conference season. And yeah, there's only 3 games today, 1 tomorrow. Looking forward to going through some situational spots that I'll have for everyone in February, March, and that, because as you guys know, I'm well ahead. I look way ahead on certain 3 out of 4 spots, all that kind of stuff. So looking forward to talking a little hockey today with both you guys. And yeah, everything is, you know what? Gotta love the NHL. Gotta love this All-Star game that they give them a whole week off. That's crazy, but hey, good for them.
Yeah, it's Andrew. It's a quiet betting week other than college football. Sorry, college basketball and NBA, because only a few hockey games. Obviously, the NFL is taking a week off. I actually just tweeted something out. You know what the NFL needs? Kind of like the World Cup. You need the 3rd place game. force Cincinnati and the 49ers to play on Sunday because people will bet on it. They will probably get just as much money bet on that game as they will the following week when the Eagles take on the Chiefs. So it would be great. A third place game. Put some money up there. Put like 10 mil to be split between the players. NFL's got it. Goodell's got that money or whatever. We need some entertainment because the Pro Bowl, it's like every single good player is out of the Pro Bowl anyways. They have Baltimore's QB Huntley replacing Josh Allen. Like, did Huntley even throw a TD this year and he's in the Pro Bowl? Like, it's just,
I saw that.
I don't get it, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like the World Cup.
I saw that.
Force
Yeah,
these
that was
teams
weird.
to play a third place game. I just don't know who quarterbacks for the 49ers. Maybe they bring back Joe Montana. He looked pretty good on the sidelines.
You know those guys aren't playing unless they're playing for a championship. They're not playing for a third place prize. That's for sure. But that I would cheer. I would look for it. I mean, I would bet on it. That's for sure. I think we would all talk about it. As far as hockey last night, I did get a push. I had the under 6 in the Jets Blues game. 6.5s were available in the morning, but as I always tell you guys, like I will sometimes try and get the best number to my clients. But if I know that 3/4 of them are going to get a 6 and I could get a 6.5, I always release the most common number. And guys, there was I have 5-goal third period. And that was rough. I mean, I don't take unders a lot, and that's what happens when you play an under. I mean, I've given out some unders here on the show that have gone well, but when that happens to you, is why I usually take the first period unders and not the full games. But guys, let's get into today's games. We'll try and find some winners here between these three. I'm a little bit frustrated off that. I mean, I got a push last night, and I feel like I got a big loss. I hate those third period bad beats. But the Kings and Hurricanes, let's jump into this one here. Break this game down. It should be a good contest here. There's some different scheduling spots to kind of look at for both teams. But Carolina -200, LA plus 170 here. And take a look really at this game here for Carolina. They're going to be playing their 5th game in 8 nights. It's been very busy for them. And of course, LA, they've been traveling all around. They've been on the road for a little bit. And playing some competitive hockey here, Carm. But what are your thoughts here on this -200 for the Carolina Hurricanes?
I get the fifth game in 8 nights thing. That bothers me more in situations like the next game that we're going to talk about, the Columbus one, where you play 5 games in 8 nights and there's travel in between. Last couple of games have been at home for Carolina, so I'm not really worried about the 5th game in 8 nights because end of the night they're back home in their own beds. They played against the Sharks, which was exciting one, but an easy one, and then the Bruins probably a little tougher, and it was a much bigger scoreline than winning 4-1. They're playing really well right now. It's tough to go against a team. We talk about that, catching a falling knife against a team that's playing extremely well. The thing that worries me more is the LA Kings. Andrew, you look at them and they're sporadic. They win 3, they lose 3, but it's the games that they lose that worry me more about the games that they win, because they're beating up on teams like they beat the Flyers, they beat the Blackhawks, they beat a Florida team that was down to their 3rd string goalie in Alex Lyons, the guy who's allowed I think 16 or 17 goals in 3 games. He's getting lit up. The games that they lose are against teams that play similar style to the Hurricanes, a more physical style, never take a shift off. Tampa Bay, Nashville, Dallas, New Jersey, Boston. Those are their last 5 losses. Those teams rank right up there with Carolina. Same type of team that doesn't take a shift off. I just don't like the spot here for the Kings. I think that Carolina is the play here. Obviously, the vig is high. You can look at like those first period plays. You can look at a possible puck line if you want. But I'm not getting in front of a Carolina team that's playing some of the best hockey of any team in the NHL right now. So it's Canes for me. Buster? You're muted, Buster. Buster will be with us shortly.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
You're back.
I didn't realize I was muted there. Just must have hit the mute button because I was always told make sure you do that when you have a cough, and I've got a little bit of a cough going this morning because well, I was out having a few cervezas last night. So, anyways, yeah, Carolina is a 210 favorite, 200 there I see on the board, and as everyone knows, I'm not betting that. There's no way I'm going to win that, but I agree with Carmine. I like Carolina in this spot. I've actually already put them out minus 130 in regulation to my clients as a best bet. I really like them here. Had Carolina on Sunday against Boston, and it was a great situation for Carolina and a bad situation for Boston. To me, I think this is I know it's 5 out of 8 games, but Carolina, like Carmine said, they're at home, and they've been really good. They've won 7 of their last 8 games, and they have already beat LA in LA 4-2 this season. And LA, again, they're on, this is going to be their 6th game of a road trip. And what's interesting, because with all this all-star games, and I tell everybody what people should do, take a look at the schedule, see how long off there are in between games and things like that. Even for the teams that stop playing on Saturday and Sunday, they might get 7 or 8 days, maybe 9. Well, the Kings are getting 11 days off. They don't go back till February 11th. They're in Raleigh. How many of these guys have their foot right on that plane? Because Raleigh to the Bahamas is a pretty quick flight. They'll be in the Atlantis casino by 1 o'clock this morning playing with their buddies. I mean, it's just a real bad spot for LA, if you ask me. And Carolina, as Carmine said, points are very, very imperative for Carolina because they want that number 1 spot in the East. Because if they get home ice advantage for the East, they can be very deadly. As for the total here, 6 I think is the right number, but there's a lot trending to the over. If I see it 6 under 20. So if somehow in the afternoon it hits the 5.5, I would take a small play on the over here. The Kings are 8-2-1 their last 11 to the over. Carolina, they're 10-3 the last 13 to the over. We're going to take Carolina regulation here, but just one more thing. I know it's not regulation, but the Kings, they're 0-6 the last 6 against Carolina. Can't lay 210, can't lay 200. I am going to lay 130 in regulation with Carolina in this spot.
Well, as you always recap, Buster, I will recap that I am on a different side as the boys today here. This is the first game here, and we're head-to-head. A lot of times I like to look towards road teams when you have a Christmas break approaching, whether you have an all-star break approaching, when there's some type of break approaching. The road team, to me, I think always seems to be a little more dialed in. It's more of a business trip mentality. If you're at home, you're doing your thing, you're getting ready to do whatever you're going to do with your family, or head away with your teammates and do whatever. I feel like the psychology of it, I think, is the road team comes in business as usual. They're on a road trip. The home team is just there waiting to play that last game and just get out of town. And I get it. There's 2 different scenarios here. We've got Carolina that, have been playing a lot of games in a short period of time. And then you have the Kings who have been on the road for a long time. So really the question to everybody out there watching this show, if you're handicapping this game, what do you care more about? The fact that one team's been on the road a lot, or the fact that one team's played a lot of games in a short period of time? And for me, I'm just looking at value in this game. Obviously, guys, I know how elite Carolina are. They're one of the best teams in the league. I mean, they're a great team for a reason. I just saw this plus 175 I got overnight, and I thought I had to jump on it, looking at a great spot. But that under, guys, I think is a really good play too. I mean, Freddie is 5-0 since he came back from injury, 2.38 goals against average. Phoenix Copley has been outstanding, 2.82 goals against average. It would be hard not to see an under in this one as well. But I'll go with the dog here. We'll see if we can be on the same page with the next one, Buster. I'm going to head to you, Washington, taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets here. They finished off their road trip, the Blue Jackets, against the Seattle Kraken. In this one, though, they're plus 175. Washington minus 210. Total at 6.5, shaded towards the under. And unfortunately, I had a 5% play on the over in the Kraken and Columbus game. Looks like the play definitely should have been Seattle, because Seattle carried the pace throughout the entire way. But I'll tell you what, the goaltending in that game was tough to watch. whenever I have a 5% play, I always stick it out. No matter how bad it's looking, I always watch the entire game. And that one was tough, but Columbus had a road trip where they were relatively competitive, Buster, and now they're back at home here, and the Capitals off a loss. Do you think they get some revenge here and they get back in the win column?
I actually, I'm going to go against Columbus here. And again, this is almost similar to what we have going on with the first game that we talked about, the Carolina game. Again, I'm not going to lay 210 with Washington, that's for sure. And again, I like them in regulation, minus 130. Both these teams, though, Andrew, I know Columbus has been playing a little bit better, but they both really have struggled. Washington are 3-6 in their last 9. Columbus are 3-9 in their last 12. It's a home for Columbus after a long road trip. I know we talk about that from time to time. That's although they do have a couple extra days in between, but it's only one more game, and then again they're off for a long time. It's incredible the time off these guys have. I don't recall ever having like 11 days. I guess when they went to the Olympics that time, I'm not sure, but I mean it seems like a long break for these guys. Washington has won both meetings this year. They won 6-2 and 1-0, and they are 7-2 in Columbus. We like that. As for the total, it's 6.5. I would lean under, but you know what? I really don't want any part of that because, as I just mentioned, the two games that they played this year, one went over and one stayed way under, and as you mentioned, Andrew, about the Columbus goaltenders, sometimes they stand on their head, and sometimes it looks so bad, right? And so it's one of those things that when you look at it over here, I mean, a total here, you can see maybe because it's the last game before these guys play again, you might want to say that's going to be pawn hockey in play. But I think here, and why I like Washington, is because Carmine had mentioned it right off the top of the show. They need these 2 points. Columbus, not so much. They're actually, they might even be in the running for the draft pick. I haven't looked at the standings lately, and I think Washington comes to play, and that means Washington can play some defense. Both these teams have struggled scoring goals the last 4 games. You go back, I think they may have like 7 goals in 4 games, and Washington maybe 8 and 4. So they haven't really been scoring a lot. I would lean to the under here. Don't think I want any part of it, though, at the end of the day. Give me Washington in regulation minus a 130.
All right, Buster looking towards Washington, and he's right about Columbus because their goaltending is either downright trash or they just stand on their head. Doesn't really seem to be anywhere in between. But Carm, I love betting on teams off a loss, and the Washington Capitals are in that situation. And I like betting on them, off a loss against weaker opponents, and they're in that situation. What do you think here? Are we on the same page?
Sort of, I guess. You can look at it. If anything, you want to bet Washington. You want to bet against Washington off a win. If you look at it, I think it was back in mid to late December, they won like 5 games in a row. They've played 15 games since, and they have yet to win back-to-back games. Now, they're off a loss, of course, too. And you look at Columbus, and Columbus, their last 15 games haven't won back-to-back games as well, too, which is why they got 33 points, and they're in last by, I think, Chicago has 34. So they've got that last spot in the league. It's 5 travel days pretty much in a row for this Columbus team because they left for a 4-game road trip and had to come back. There's obviously the travel days in between. I think that's 5 games in 8 days. And that's a lot different than the other scenario because this is 5 games in 8 days with travel in between, which is not a good schedule. I'm going to talk about a bad schedule later on in the show. This is just one of those ones where Washington is the better team here, and you want to take the team who's the better team. You look at Washington's losses, Andrew, and at least they're coming against some very good teams of late. They lost to the Leafs. They lost to the Avalanche. They lost to the Vegas Golden Knights. They lost to Minnesota. And then prior to that, they lost to the Flyers in back-to-back games. Those last 4 are very good teams. At least they are competing and winning the games they're supposed to win. And this is one of the games they're supposed to win. They are supposed to win this game, but it doesn't mean that they're going to win. And this is why they're currently in that 7th and 8th wild card race spot with the Sabres and Islanders hot on their heels behind them for that playoff spot. It's a game that you don't want to hiccup. It's going to be Korpisalo. He's confirmed in net for Columbus. No confirmed goalie for Washington, but Washington's got to be the play here. And I'd probably venture and say you just take the -1.5 here instead of laying any type of juice.
I'm with you guys completely. It's going to be a really good spot here for them. And Columbus, they just don't seem to have the collective group, Carm. I really just don't think that they have enough guys out there. Like, even when I see them playing good hockey and I see them creating plays, I look around, I just don't think they have guys to finish them. You know, like you look at some teams around the league, they consistently finish off these tic-tac-toe plays, put the puck in the net, or create a dangerous chance. Columbus, like, I don't know. Do you guys notice Patrick Laine getting frustrated out there? And then some analysts will say, look at this guy. He's a hothead. He's self-centered. And I get that sometimes, but sometimes it's also like, I don't really blame the guy. You know, like, I'm not saying you should be disrespectful and look cocky on the ice, but look at Patrick Laine, look at Johnny Gaudreau, and then look at everybody else on the Blue Jackets. There's quite a bit of a drop-off there.
Yeah, but if you look at it, listen, that number one line of Gaudreau, of Patrick Laine, and Boone Jenner, they had a stretch of about 5 or 6 games where this is the number one line, and I get it, they're on the last place team, but it's still the number one line, where they completely underperformed. Their shots on goal, they had a 3-game stretch where they had, the number one line had 1 shot on goal, and that was from Gaudreau. The other guys did not register a shot. When your number one line does not register a shot on goal, it epitomizes why you are a bad team and why you're in last place. This is a team that they're not tanking it. They just aren't good enough because they don't have secondary scoring. They don't have a good second line or a third line. So they're going to lose games where the other team scores 3 or more goals. They are going to lose a lot of games on this road trip. You can go back and look at it. 4 games, I'm going to guess that they average somewhere between 25 to 26 shots on goal. You're not going to win a lot of games in this league averaging 25 to 26 shots on goal when you don't have a very good defense and goalie to keep you in games. And that is the problem with this Columbus team. I don't want to overthink it. Can Columbus win tonight? Of course they can win tonight. On any given night, anybody can beat anybody. But am I going to put any money on Columbus tonight? No. I'd rather just light it on fire.
Buster, when we move into the second half of the NHL season, I know you say you kind of project certain games and bet on spots, whether it's sides or totals for you. But when you look at some of these teams, the bottom 5 of the NHL, is it like Carmine said, where sometimes you want to just keep it simple and find spots to bet against them? Because I know for me personally, sometimes I get after myself for trying to be a little bit too cute with it and a little fancy with it, and just like, I don't feel like I've bet against the Hawks enough this year. You know what I mean? Do you do that more in the second half of the season, Buster, and try and fade some of these bottom tier teams?
Well, for the most part, Andrew, the only time I usually take any of these bottom teams are at home. And maybe as you move forward, you might get some nice prices with the +1.5s. So I've been doing some of those. Like the other night, I had our Canadiens against the hated Leafs +1.5. Well, they went outright, but there's some games that I would do that with the lower teams. But I'm kind of like you guys. I don't want to be putting my money on situations like that. My situations will be, 3 out of 4 teams that dominate other teams for whatever reason, and I don't care how long it's been. Because I've talked about this before, and it's actually been proven the last 4 years I've done this for the most part, probably hitting maybe 75%. When some teams just go into other teams' barns, they just seem it's in their heads. Sometimes it's in their heads, and they all know. And I can never understand that. I've been doing this a long time. I don't understand why, but it's a proven fact in a lot of sports that it just happens. So I look at spots like that. But as far as I try to avoid the bottom teams. But if I'm going to get +1.5 in a kind of like a rivalry game, and I'm getting maybe some plus money even, which has been happening, like Montreal was +115 that night against Toronto. Those are the kind of things that I'll look at when playing those bottom teams. But most of my stuff, right, I'll just see that I'll just see a situation, and I'll probably more than likely pass rather than bet it.
I want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the Massachusetts area right now. They are the 33rd state to become legalized in sports betting as of today. They are live right now in sports gambling. It seems like everybody is really excited right now across social media. I'm sure Boston Bruins fans are excited. They'll be able to hopefully eventually just pop into a sports book, bet on the Bruins, and then go to the game. But guys, 33 states now legalized sports gaming, and it's only growing. And of course, Boston, well, the nearest state to me, and a state that I love going to, or I guess Massachusetts, the state, not Boston. But yeah, congrats to everybody over there. I'm sure they're really excited about it, and sports gaming world just continues to grow. Let's get into our last game here: Ottawa and Montreal. Montreal plus 165, Ottawa minus 195. Total at 6.5 here, Carm, shaded towards the under. And as we see this game here, we've got to recognize that Ottawa and Montreal played just a few short days ago, of course. And Ottawa took that one 5-0 in an absolute massacre. And you know I wasn't happy to see that one, Carm. But these two teams playing 3 times in, I think, a matter of 6 weeks. I'll be seeing Montreal and Ottawa in Montreal next month. And you know these two teams that are very young, they've got a lot of hope for the future, a lot of prospects. They certainly get up for these games, you know. But, Carm, I've noticed the Habs pretty much play better against top-tier opponents than they do against bad teams. And I've made money betting against it. But what do you think here, Ottawa and Montreal playing for the second time in a few days?
Andrew, this game, I wish this game wasn't even on the schedule. I'm telling you, I am completely dumbfounded with this game. I'm going to tell you right now. The logic behind, I'm looking at this line, and I don't like the line. I'm looking at the total. I do not like the total. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, this line. The number's at 6.5. Montreal has scored, their team total is 2.5. 8 of their last 17 games, they've gone over that. 8 of their last 25 games, they've scored 3 or more goals, which means 17 times they've stayed under that number of 2.5. Ottawa's is at 3.5, but you look at theirs, and they're not scoring more than 3.5 goals on many occasions, and this number's at 6.5. I get it. Ottawa got 5 last time out. Montreal with the goose egg on Saturday. It really feels like this is almost like the Seinfeld episode with George, where if everything you do is wrong, then the opposite must be right. Because I'm thinking Ottawa and the under here. Which makes me want to take Montreal in the over, because I hate this number, Andrew. I absolutely hate this number. I think if I was going to throw some pizza money out there tonight, because this game is not making my card, it would be on Montreal, because I actually think Montreal is a live dog, because we always talk about, and we see it happen a lot, when two teams play each other pretty much in a back-to-back situation. I will take the team that lost the first game and play them in the second. And we've seen that work out very profitably this year thus far, with teams playing back-to-back games. I think the last one that I can remember was Calgary in St. Louis, where they lost the first, won the second. Listen, it's not making my card, guys, but I'm going to give you an opinion on it. I am going to take Montreal for pizza money in this game in what you could describe as a rapid revenge spot, but these are 2 bad teams. I'm sorry.
I love how you're apologizing, Carm. So respectful.
I'm Canadian.
I'm sorry. These teams suck. Just putting it out how it is, laying it out. Look, Buster, they are near the bottom of the league, and it is an interesting handicap, because there are 2 teams that have played recently. We've seen Ottawa play 3 straight games where they looked awesome. 3 straight wins for them. One of them against the Leafs, but I believe they're like 2-4 or 2-5. Last couple games on the road. They haven't done very well on the road compared to at home in Ottawa. Does that make a factor in your handicap at all?
Well, I think the factor in this handicap here is it's Ottawa-Montreal. It's becoming a little bit of a rivalry, as me and you both know, Andrew, and probably everybody else in the chat room that are fans of Montreal. Again, like Carmine said, they are 2 bad teams. Although Ottawa's looking a lot better, as you just said, Andrew, than they have. They go and beat Toronto the other night there too. And we just mentioned Ottawa won 5-0 on Saturday. Common theme with all these clubs, everybody's getting a long break. I think both these teams don't have to come back till the 11th of February, which is a long time. Carmine's right. Cannot lay 180 with Ottawa. No way, not in Montreal. And Montreal has played. They've played with some heart at home. They played very well at home, even recently. They beat the hated Leafs. They had Boston. They were right with Boston, and Boston scores in about 2 minutes, and then they put in an empty net to lose 4-2. But they're in that whole game against Boston. And then the other game of their last 3 home games, they lose in overtime to Detroit 4-3. So I kind of tend to agree with Carmine. It's not going to make my card because I just don't want to, take shots when I'm betting in hockey. I just to me, if I'm taking a shot, I don't really like doing that. It is a pizza money play on Montreal here because you can't, you just can't bet Ottawa at that price. I was actually kind of shocked to see it, but I'm not going to bet Montreal either because they find a way to lose those games, even though they play pretty well. I agree with Carmine again. I can't believe I'm saying this almost the whole show. Thank God there's only 3 games. I wouldn't want to agree with him for a 4th game, that's for sure.
Hey, he's having a great year. He's having a great season.
6.5. I tell you, teams under. The under have played 6-2-1 the last 9 in Montreal. I agree with Carmine. I don't understand the 6.5 here. Also, if you want to go back a little further, the under's 14-5-1 the last 20 between these clubs. Do I want to lay in an under that could end up being a pond hockey game? That's the question, right? I really don't. Although all the things tell me the under might be the play here. With Carmine, not going to make my card. Please don't lay 180 or whatever it gets up to with Ottawa. Better off passing this game. The other 2 games are way better to bet.
All right. Andrew, I'm going to just jump in here for a second because I mentioned it, and I know we're going to get into some of the other stuff that we need to discuss, but with regards to scheduling, I think it's important moving forward after this All-Star break, and that's what the time I'm using right now. And I know, Andrew, you're looking at a lot of this stuff as well, too, is breaking down team schedules over the course of the second half of the season, because there are going to be some good bet-on spots when there's bad travel schedules or bad schedules for the teams. And case in point is the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres will play 4 games in 20 days. That is a lot of time off to have between games or to only play 4 games. And then they have 15 games in 22 days. Now, a lot of young players on that team, a lot of young legs. But when we're getting towards the end of that, the last week of that 22-day schedule for this Buffalo Sabres team, there's going to be a lot of tired legs on this team, especially with travel in between, as well as they're playing right now and they're vying for a playoff spot. These are the kind of things you need to look at. Look at teams' schedules and their travel schedules. Brian Leonard uses that travel spot very well in finding some good price dogs as well, too. So it's a thing that you need to do. Don't just open up the laptop and look at the day schedule and try and come up with a winner. Put some homework into it. Andrew, back to you, my friend.
Yeah, I always tell people, when people that ask me kind of what I do for work and how I handicap compared to other people and my fellow coworkers like you guys, I say specifically that I don't think I would be nearly as good at this or I would have been so profitable if every game was a neutral site. I mean, if betting was all neutral sites and there weren't road trips, handicapping would be completely different than it is for us right now. I mean, a lot of us, the 3 of us really focus in on those homestands, road trips, how many games they're playing, where they're playing, when they're playing them. And it's just so much different. You look back to handicapping when the NBA and NHL were in their bubbles. I know that was mostly in the playoffs, so it's a little bit different, but it's a little bit different to handicap that kind of stuff. And I think it's important for us to take this time. If you take NHL handicapping seriously, or if you just watch our show, we appreciate you. But if you take handicapping seriously, take a look at some schedules, take a look at some teams that you think might have overachieved or underachieved this year, and look to bet on or against some of those teams. So Guys, actually, I'll start off with best bets. And before I do, I wanted to mention that on Twitter, I tweeted out that I'm going to be doing a video pretty much answering people's questions about the first half of the season, second half of the season, betting related, hockey related. So you guys can go to my Twitter at McGinnis Picks and tweet at me. And I'm going to make a video just talking about teams that I'm looking to bet on, bet against, travel spots, all kinds of different things. So if you want to ask me a question, handicapping related or hockey related, you can go and check it out on my Twitter and just reply back there. As far as packages and promo stuff, I do have one best bet in the NHL. Obviously, you guys heard every game and every lean that I really had for today. I also have a UFC package up with Andy Lang. We've teamed up doing a combo package for the UFC. Both Andy and I have crushed our UFC best bets. We're both pretty low volume, and combined, we are on a 21-7 run across the UFC. So, guys, I really encourage you to check it out. You can get both of us for $199. So UFC, and after a little bit of a break and a couple weeks off and week on, week off here, we've got a lot of UFC coming up here over the next short period of time, maybe like month and a half, a lot of UFC action. My best bet for the show for today, though, guys, I'm going with the underdog. I'm hoping the dogs will be barking tonight in the NHL, at least in one game. I'm going with the LA Kings. I see this Carolina Hurricanes team as an elite hockey club. I don't like fading them, but when I saw that plus 170, 175, I had to go for it. And I see how many games Carolina's played in 8 days, 5 games, 8 days. It's just been a busy schedule for them. If you like letdown spots, this one might be the one for them off a big win against the Boston Bruins. I'll take the LA Kings on the money line at a great plus price there. Buster, we'll go to you. What do you have going on today for clients? And, of course, your best bet for the show.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. We have, as everybody knows, it's $2 Tuesday at Wager Talk and at Sports Memo. 3 plays up for $5 at Sports Memo, so go over there, check that out. And while you're there, we have our NBA college basketball triple play going. It's the end of the month. I've put it up there for only $12, so grab that package of 3 handicappers for $5. And if you like NBA and college basketball, grab our package for $12. Our show best bet, well, hate to go against the host and tell you the truth, all the years that we've been doing this show, I don't think we've ever had me go against like one of you guys with the best bet. But my best bet, the only bet I think I'm going to make tonight, I might, depending on the lines, what happens with some of those totals, I might have one more. It's on Carolina. We talked about it already. In regulation, minus 130. Of course, I'm not going to lay that 220 on Carolina, but I just really have to believe the Kings, like we talked a bit about it, where guys just they've already have their plans done, and the Kings just the situation where they are. If they were maybe in LA, maybe I'd think twice, but they're right in Raleigh. And I mean, like I say, it's quick flights to the Caribbean for these guys. They might already have their 1 foot on a plane, and Carolina is just elite, and they're very elite at home. 7 wins out of 8. Give me Carolina in regulation minus 130. And for the first time ever on this show, Andrew, I hope you lose your best bet. Sorry.
Hey, hopefully I win the rest of them for the rest of the season, I guess, Buster.
Yes.
Right? But
yes.
One of us will win and one of us will come out on top. Carm, you've been on fire with your props. I know you have a prop for us for your best bet. Well, what do you have going for clients tonight and this week?
Yeah, first of all, Andrew, great idea on that Twitter thing with answering questions for people, NHL hockey questions and stuff. Very good on you to do that. For those of you who don't know how Andrew became a hockey fan, I asked him that question. He was late when they were handing out teams, and when he got there, all that was left was Montreal. So that's how he became a Montreal fan. Now, with that said, 3 plays up for tonight. One of them is a prop. A couple of them are sides. Well, let's see if we can keep this good run going over at Wager Talk. I'm going to go to a shot prop, and that first game of the night that we talked about on the show, which is the Carolina-LA game. I'm going to take Brent Burns over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 145. In 2023, since the year turned over, 13 games for him. He's gone over his number 11 of 13 times. And actually, 8 of the last 9 times he's gone over getting exactly 3 shots on goal. It's amazing that in his last 9 games, he's had 3 shots on goal in 8 of them, exactly 3 shots on goal. I'm going to lay the 145 and take the over 2.5 shots on goal for Brent Burns tonight as your show best bet.
Awesome stuff there. Brent Burns over 2.5 shots on goal, guys. Might be 3 games on tap tonight, but it sounds like between the 3 of us, we have lots of plays, lots of things we like, and hopefully we can make you guys some money. I've got the LA Kings plus 170, Carmine with Brent Burns over 2.5 shots on goal. Of course, you can find him on the Hurricanes, and Don Buster with Carolina in regulation minus 130. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate you here on Puck Time. Wager Talk today is coming up here in just a short period of time. Other than that, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 58 on February 11, 2024. From your favorite Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $11.99 versus a regular price of $19.99 for a total savings of $800. This limited time super discount basically is 52 weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl, the more additional days you get for free.